The Mirage Effect. In ancient Egypt, Cleopatra understood the art of illusion better than any ruler alive. When she first met Julius Caesar, she did not walk into his court. She had herself rolled into the palace inside a carpet. When it was unwrapped, she appeared like a living vision. The act was pure theater, a calculated blend of mystery and shock that disarmed the Roman general's logic. Cleopatra did not seduce through beauty alone. She seduced through control of perception. This is the Mirage Effect, the power of becoming what others dream of, not what you are. You reveal yourself selectively, shaping every detail to suggest depth, danger, and fascination. The seducer does not lie outright. They allow the imagination of the target to do the lying for them. You must learn to withhold. Let curiosity build like thirst. The more they reach, the less they grasp. Every appearance, every silence, every glance must feed their hunger for more. The Mirage Effect turns desire into obsession by offering reflection instead of reality. You do not satisfy, you magnify. You do not reveal, you suggest. You do not pursue, you attract. Let them fall in love with an illusion you have constructed. By the time they realize it was never real, they will already belong to you. The Emotional Rollercoaster. In 16th century France, Diane de Poitiers captivated King Henry II not through constant affection, but through rhythm, a deliberate fluctuation between tenderness and distance, one day warmth, the next withdrawal. The effect was chemical. His emotions spiked and crashed, binding him to her more powerfully than devotion ever could. Seduction is not built on peace. It thrives on imbalance. When you alternate between kindness and indifference, between passion and cold silence, you teach your target to crave your approval like oxygen. Their mind begins to oscillate between pleasure and fear. You become their sole source of both. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive form of reward. Seducers have known it for centuries. You must master the rhythm. Give them hope, then starve them of it. Feed them affection, then take it away. They will chase you endlessly, desperate for the high they once felt. Never be predictable. Predictability kills desire. However, chaos awakens it. Let your presence excite, your absence torment. This is not cruelty, it is control. The Power of Withdrawal. In the court of Louis XIV, courtesans and noble women competed for the king's gaze. One among them, Madame de Montespan, understood something none of the others did. Presence is not power, absence is. When gossip began to ruin her standing, she withdrew completely. The court trembled. The king grew restless. Rumors magnified her allure. Her silence spoke louder than any plea. When she returned, she was untouchable. Seduction depends on tension, and tension cannot exist without distance. When you withdraw at the height of desire, you plant uncertainty and fear in the mind of your victim. They imagine, they panic, they hope, and in doing so, they deepen their own attachment. Disappearance, when timed with precision, creates mythology. You become larger than life, a ghost they cannot forget, a mystery they cannot solve. Withdraw not in anger, but in elegance. Make your silence feel intentional. Let them believe it's they who have driven you away. Their guilt will chain them more tightly than your presence ever could. To seduce is to vanish strategically. Every return must feel like resurrection. The mirror trick. Oscar Wilde once said, "Every man kills the thing he loves. But before that death comes fascination. And fascination begins with reflection. The seducer's greatest weapon is imitation. You do not persuade, you mirror. You reflect their values, their interests, their desires, until they begin to see themselves in you. Casanova mastered this art. When he met a woman, he listened more than he spoke. He studied her words, her gestures, her fears. Then he became her echo. She saw in him the perfect understanding she never found elsewhere.
The illusion of total connection is irresistible. It feels like fate. This is the mirror trick. You make the other believe you are the only one who gets them. You show interest in what interests them, adopt their tone, their rhythm, even their silence. You become the answer to their loneliness. But beware. Reflection requires restraint. You must not imitate too directly. It must feel organic, not mechanical. The goal is emotional camouflage. Mirror their light, then reveal your own darkness. Once they see themselves inside you, they will not know where they end and you begin. The mirror gives power because it hides the manipulator behind the image. The hero's wound. Throughout history, the most dangerous seducers were not those who appeared perfect, but those who appeared broken. Lord Byron, the great romantic poet, walked with a limp and carried a haunted melancholy that drew women to him like moths to fire. His pain was his magnetism, his weakness was his disguise. This is the hero's wound, the calculated display of vulnerability that invites empathy and intimacy. You do not beg for pity, you suggest suffering. You allow your scars to speak of depth, of stories untold. The victim believes they can heal you, not realizing that the wound is the weapon. A perfect facade creates distance. Flaws, when artfully revealed, create connection. People want to fix what they desire, and in doing so, they give themselves away. Expose just enough pain to awaken their nurturing instinct. Let them believe they're saving you while you are the one writing the script. The hero's wound is a trap wrapped in tenderness. The more they comfort you, the more they depend on your vulnerability to feel strong. You become their purpose. And when purpose fades, so do they. Never fear showing weakness. Use it. Just make sure it's under your control. The puppet master's charm. Grigory Rasputin arrived at the Russian court like a walking contradiction. Crude, devout, dangerous. Yet he wrapped himself in a cloak of confidence and delivered praise in doses that melted suspicion. To the dowager and the young czar, he was both prophet and confidant. His compliments disarmed enemies, his veiled criticisms controlled them. Rasputin did not rule by force. He ruled by calibrating praise and insult, by pulling strings until his puppets danced to his tune. This is the puppet master's charm, the art of cultivating dependence by alternating flattery with controlled undermining. Compliment to enchant, cut to correct. Praise when you want proximity, tiny precise slights when you want to keep them scrambling for approval. The seducer who masters this is not kind nor cruel in simple measure. He is an architect of emotional instability. You must study the architecture of ego. Learn what feeds it, what starves it, and when to switch. Praise becomes a currency, criticism becomes a leash. Never humiliate without purpose, never flatter without calculation. Each compliment should be a breadcrumb that leads them home to you. Each small jab should feel like an honest observation, one they accept because you've already made them dependent on your validation. The key is tone and timing. Praise that appears sincere binds, critique that appears corrective controls. Use both to choreograph behavior without showing your hands. You are not their friend, you are their mirror and their metronome. Set the rhythm they must follow. When they seek your approval, you own their motion.
The forbidden fruit principle. The legend of Tristan and Isolde is a study in desire born of prohibition. Their love, suspended between oath and secrecy, ignited precisely because it was forbidden. Every hidden glance, every clandestine touch became electric. The law and the promise that forbade them did not extinguish passion, it concentrated it into a single combustible point. This is the forbidden fruit principle. Desire intensifies when wrapped in risk. People are drawn to what society, conscience, or circumstance says they cannot have. The seducer who manufactures taboo is not merely attractive, they become transgressive, a thrill that reframes reality as an adventure. You must use limits like salt, sparingly and with taste. Make certain pleasures seem unavailable. Not permanently, but tantalizingly so. Attach small consequences to proximity, social risk, moral ambiguity, the whisper of scandal. The danger need not be real. The perception of danger is enough to sharpen appetite. But caution, forbidden fruit can rot. If danger becomes ruin, the spell breaks. The aim is to heighten desire without destroying the object of desire. Create a garden with high hedges, not a minefield. Turn the mundane into an illicit act. Teach them to enjoy their risk. When they find themselves breaking rules, they will associate you with audacity and escape. They will remember the adrenaline as devotion. Make temptation a private conspiracy between you and them. Let the world be the jury. Let your affair be the crime. The fantasy builder. Mata Hari walked into rooms wearing an identity as carefully tailored as her exotic veils. She did not simply become the dancer she pretended to be. She constructed an entire mythology, the exotic other, the mystery that promised escape from ordinary life. Her partners were not seduced by facts. They were seized by a narrative that made them central characters in her story. This is the fantasy builder, the deliberate construction of an alternate reality that invites the target to live inside it. Create a world of private meanings, shared codes, and sensory triggers. Build rituals, a coffee at noon that signals intimacy, a phrase that unlocks memory, a song that becomes their private hymn. The seducer who offers fantasy offers more than sex or conversation. They offer identity. You are not selling yourself, you are editing reality. Replace their gray with color. Invite them into scenes, candlelit dinners that feel like entire lifetimes, journeys that become chapters in their self-image. The fantasy must be believable, yet slightly elevated. Better than their life, but still attainable through you. Beware projection. If you promise epics you cannot sustain, the collapse will be catastrophic. The fantasy must be durable enough to survive absence. Plant memories that outlast you, a smell, a photograph, a shared joke that will echo when you are gone. Make them dependent on the narrative you weave. When life feels flat, they will seek your scenes. When the real world presses, they will escape into you. You are not merely loved, you are lived within.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones, and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.